to this.
They do. If it's not losing everything in health because they're found out and they can go through rehabilitation, they certainly lose a lot in terms of community stature, friendships, their ability to work. Usually a health system won't take you back. There are mechanisms where nurses and doctors can kind of go and rehabilitate that are sponsored by the state and let them get back into healthcare. But of course, the scrutiny is very high. They may find that the doors are not wide open for them the way they once were, even if they're well trained. So they lose a lot. And in the process, you're unemployed for a long time. You obviously have huge financial implications. And just that feeling yourself of, being a healthcare worker, your job ultimately is to protect others. And you can't do that optimally when you're taking opioids or alcohol or any of these other drugs. And so I think there's probably a huge sense inside that you let yourself and everybody down, even though the nature of these chemicals is so profound that you could reasonably conclude they couldn't help it, because once, as you say, the door was open, they just couldn't stop.
Right. They're just going. So in writing this book, how did you start to put it together? And how did you start to decide, this is how I want to do it? This is how I want to share this story?
Good question. Like many physicians, when we look at the period between 2010, 2016, there were just more and more alerts and more warnings that we were overusing opioids and we needed to find other ways to deal with that. And we were hearing these numbers, which have now become astronomical, but even back then, tens of thousands of people were dying per year of opioid use, abuse, overdose, etc. And so as a physician, you want to make whatever impact you can. I'm not an addiction specialist, but I admire those people, or a chronic pain specialist who deal with a lot of addiction. I think that's a hard job, and I admire what they do for the community. In my sort of more acute pain role, though, I wanted to make whatever contribution I could. And this was the part of it that touched my life most closely. So I thought that if I could write an authentic and hopefully even entertaining and touching book that chronicled how a physician could fall into this abyss of drug abuse, that maybe it would serve healthcare workers, especially those in training, to read this and help prevent them, help them understand how dangerous this potentially was so that they wouldn't fall into the same potential thing.